There are two distinct types of luge, artificial track and natural track. This video will help you understand the differences and the similarities between the two. Luge, a French word for sled. A luge sled is a one- or two-person sled where the rider will sled face up and feet first down a pinked snow hill or an ice hill.
So this is an artificial luge sled, and when you think of artificial luge, everything is built for aerodynamics. So if you're in like a little pod, and then when you lay down, you're trying to be as flat as possible, and then the air kind of just flows around the sled. And then as far as steering goes, you can steer by pushing on the coupons and then pushing with your hands or your shoulders. But basically the goal of artificial luge is to do as little of that as possible because any steering creates friction. So the goal is just to lay there essentially, because the more you steer, the slower you're going to be going.
Most of the time, control is a matter of being one with the sled and letting gravity do its thing.
So as we take a look at the natural sled, there is some elements that are similar. So you still turn with your feet and your shoulders, and then so for like less steep turns, just smaller curves, we can just turn with our feet like that. And then we're also able to turn like this, and this is what we do for the bigger hairpin turns. You're pulling on the rein, pushing with your feet, and all shifting your body weight out to the inside of the turn. And then for braking, when we go into a turn, we do this, and then we go straight into our turn. And we kind of kick on the koofing a little bit, and that allows us to also get more turning power. And then in these straightaways, we're in that similar aerodynamic position to artificial, but we don't have to worry about keeping our neck and stuff as far back because it's not as important, but we are still trying to get that speed in the straightaways.
Basic mechanics of steering an artificial and natural track luge sled is similar, but how it is achieved is different.
So another big difference about natural and artificial luge is the shoes. So when you look at the artificial shoes, you see that it forces your foot to be in a pointed position so that you're as aerodynamic as possible, which is kind of what artificial will always come back to, is aerodynamics. And on the bottom, it's textured, but there's no spikes of any sort because they just go uphill at the finish, and that's how they stop. And then looking at natural shoes, it's usually just a type of a boot, and our feet are pretty much just straight up like this because aerodynamics isn't quite as important. And then we have the spikes for our braking, and that's how we stop at the finish, and that's how we brake for every corner.
For natural luge, we use ski and snowboard helmets. They all have to have hard ear coverings and a chin strap. We also use goggles to protect our eyes from flying debris like snow or ice.
An artificial luge helmet has a rounded visor that extends all the way under the slider's chin to minimize air resistance. It must also have a strap to hold their head against high G-force. Artificial track luge gloves have spikes sewn into the fingertips, whereas natural track luge gloves have spikes sewn into the knuckles. These provide traction when the slider is paddling over the ice at the start of the race. Both natural and artificial luge use smooth, rubberized, skin-tight speed suits designed to minimize air friction. The sliders typically compete in brand new suits, so there's no chance of flapping or ripping. One difference is that natural track luge speed suits zip in the front, while artificial luge speed suits zip in the back to increase aerodynamics. Every piece of equipment in artificial luge is designed for utmost aerodynamics, minimal friction, and top speed.
Here at Lucy Hill and Nagani, for natural track luge, the ice is very different compared to artificial. It's not banks for the walls, it's very flat against it, and so you can't use the track or the corners to your advantage while you go through.
the difference between an artificial track, the track itself, is that it is refrigerated compared to natural tracks that are not refrigerated, which means they don't rely so much on having cold weather. And then the other big thing is that the turns are banked, which means this track kind of turns a bit for you, so you don't have to do as much work compared to natural, where you're doing almost all the turning. And then the final thing is the way that the turns can go all the way up to 360 degrees in artificial compared to just the hairpin turns that we usually see in natural.
There are only 16 artificial luge tracks in the world, with 3 in the United States. The Mount Van Hoevenberg Olympic Bobsled Run, located in Lake Placid, New York, was built in 1930, and it hosted events at the 1932 and 1980 Winter Olympics. The track used during the 1980 Winter Olympic Games was demolished and replaced with a combined luge bobsled skeleton track that opened in January 2000. It is currently ranked among the most difficult in the world. The second facility, the Utah Olympic Park Track, located in Park City, Utah, was constructed in 1997 for the 2002 Winter Olympics. Additionally, a short unrefrigerated track exists in Muskegon, Michigan. Muskegon is made from natural ice and not refrigerated. Though technically classified as an artificial track because it has banked curves, the track is not currently refrigerated and is used for training and local competitions. USA Luge's natural track program is based at Lucy Hill in Negaunee in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It is the only full-length natural ice track in North and South America. With 29 curves and 812.8 meters long, it is one of only 5 lighted natural track courses in the world. In addition to that, it is the only certified natural ice track in the United States, receiving international FIL certification in March of 1992. U.S. athletes train here before traveling to the World Cup and World Championship competitions in Europe. Lucy Hill Track is the site of many national and international natural track competitions. Natural track currently does not have Olympic status, but it will continue with annual World Cup and World Championship competitions.